Hi, Eric Lanask here with the TMC Roadshow. We're in San Jose, California this week, and I'm talking today with Stuart Little from Aviat Networks. Stuart, great to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks, Eric.
So it's been a pretty exciting, certainly last 12 months for Aviat Networks since we last spoke. Can you give me a little bit of an update on what's been going on, what you've been up to?
Yeah, well, Aviat is now under new leadership. We've got a new CEO, Mike Pangia. He's been running the company since about July last year. We've been doing a lot of work to really focus in on our core microwave business and really expand our solutions in that area to offer more value to our customers.
So with that, that expanded focus on the core microwave business, as you say, what's driving the business?
The big driver is the continued expansion of mobile networks worldwide. The introduction of LTE is also a big driver, particularly here in the US. We've seen some very early successes for the company being involved in that expansion, the rollout of LTE across the US. We're now delivering what we call LTE proven backhaul solutions, providing microwave for these next generation networks. And we're starting to see the same developments overseas. Some of our other core markets, particularly in Middle East and Africa, there's a lot of network modernization going on there, introducing new higher speed mobile technologies that need upgraded backhaul.
What are the differences in terms of the challenges that you're facing between developed markets and some of the emerging markets that you referenced?
I think some of the differences, I think, in the developed markets are really focused on deploying these new technologies like LTE. The operators are really grappling with the challenge of building the networks themselves. So it's like a gigantic construction project, deploying a whole new LTE overlay network across the US, covering 300 million people, or as many as they possibly can. Whereas in other markets, particularly developing markets in Africa, it's a combination of still deploying voice-based services to cover more and more of the population, but also we're seeing a wave of network modernization across countries in Africa, for example, where operators are starting to introduce new technologies like HSPA. So they need to really modernize their networks that they may have rolled out maybe 10 years ago. They need to increase capacity. Migration to IP is a key as well. Now we're seeing that in every region of the world. Mobile networks are being moved towards IP.
How are you able to, particularly in developed markets where the growth of so the BYOD in the enterprise space, but just in the consumer markets also, the growth of tablets and smartphones and just the increase in data that's going across these networks, how are you able to help operators keep pace and make sure that those networks operate efficiently?
Yeah, well, microwave is a perfect technology for that. I mean, microwave has been used for backhaul almost since mobile networks were invented. So now today, microwave is really meeting these challenges in terms of capacity, capability to transport IP intelligently at a very cost-effective basis. So a lot of it is really driven by cost. Network operators need to lower their total cost of owning and operating their network. So that's a big focus for us. Not only the cost of purchasing the microwave backhaul, but the cost of operating that microwave backhaul network over 5 or 10 year period. So particularly in places like the US, costs such as leasing tower space to mount antennas can really drive up the overall cost of using microwave. And if you can reduce the antenna size just by a couple of feet, you can save literally thousands and thousands of dollars every year, which really dwarfs the cost of initially buying the microwave equipment in the first place.
And you're able to do that without ultimately impacting the end user experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're really the microwave backhaul, the backhaul network needs to be completely transparent to the end user. We don't want anybody to even realize that backhaul network is there. So microwave is able to support very high quality transmission links with very, very high availability. In some cases even better than fiber. With fiber you have potential problems with fiber cuts and so on, which really can cause major disruptions to the network. With microwave you can design systems which literally have outages of only a few minutes or even a few seconds every year, which really will be seamless to the end user. So I think microwave is really able to meet all the challenges, particularly for LTE. There's a lot of concern about capacity. You know, a lot of people talking about fiber as being the only solution for providing backhaul for these new LTE networks, but we see that today's microwave technology can more than meet the capacity needs for LTE for many years to come with the technology that we have today.
And I imagine it also makes it easier to expand those networks into some of the more geographically difficult areas to reach.
Yeah, I mean that's the traditional sort of concept of microwave is, you know, if you want to put a base station, you know, out in the middle of nowhere, microwave is a great solution for that, and that's true. So microwave is great for expanding into rural areas where the base stations are dispersed and fiber would be very expensive or is just not available. But really microwave is also good in dense urban areas. You know, we have the emergence of small cells as a potential solution to solving the capacity problem in mobile networks. So wireless is going to have a key role to play in providing the backhaul for these next generation of very small cells in urban environments, like, you know, outdoors on a light pole, you know, in downtown San Jose, for example.
So how do you continue how do you address the, I guess, the growing or the continuing demand for increased bandwidth and increased capacity and I guess ultimately increased speed as well? I mean, that's something that's never going to diminish. It's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those challenges are going to be with the operator. You know, as I said, microwave, I think, delivers as much capacity today that the operator potentially requires, and there's new technologies coming in, like new E-band millimeter wave technologies that operate at very high frequencies, up around 80 gigahertz, that can provide a gigabit or more of throughput very, very cost effectively. But there's going to be, you know, to meet the challenge of delivering the bandwidth to the end user with all these new smart devices, new ways of building the network are going to be needed. And I mentioned small cells. Mm-hmm. This is really, there's a lot of activity and a lot of talk in the market now about how small cells are potentially a great solution for that problem. So instead of focused on building these large macro cells to cover a wide area and try and bring in many users onto one big, large base station, instead having an additional underlay of very small cells that can soak up a lot of that bandwidth as well, mainly for the data.
So what does that mean for, you talked about the past 12 months for Aviat. What does that mean for the next 12?
Well, this is an emerging market. Small cells is an emerging market. I think the consensus is that the small cell opportunity will probably really start picking up some steam next year. Mm-hmm. So this is something that Aviat is very interested in, where we're working on some solutions which will be very appropriate for small cell backhaul. We're looking at other technologies as well, because there's a whole bunch of potential technologies that could be deployed to solve the backhaul problem for small cells. So there's just traditional point-to-point. There's also potential point-to-multipoint with non-line of sight in lower frequencies under 6 gigahertz. This could potentially be another area that we might investigate, or we are investigating, that we might develop in the future. Other than that, our main focus really today is on the macrocell backhaul, so microwave solutions from 4 to 40 gigahertz primarily. Our big focus is making our microwave radios more intelligent and bringing more networking capability into the product. And really, instead of just having a microwave transmission platform, to develop a microwave networking platform that incorporates many of the capabilities that you would normally have to purchase a separate router or switch to provide. We're looking to build more of that capability into the product, again, to really lower the overall cost for the operator of operating the network.
Excellent. Great to get an update. Stuart, thanks for joining us here on the TMC Roadshow.
Okay, thanks very much, Eric. Cheers.